Welcome to the championship edition of BattleBlogs, and the last one of the season. As I talk about the world of robotic combat, particularly the BattleBots brand, which, like I said in the previous episode, this finishes out the championship of the entire season. So I'll be putting this series on ice for a while until the next tournament comes around. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to the tournament itself, which is where we are now. So, well, let's begin. I got my list of notes here, and then I will work from it and tell you all about the tournament, my thoughts, and actually have a rundown of the champion. But we'll get to that. A shocking note that happened first round of the tournament was the mighty Tombstone had actually been defeated. And by local Las Vegas bot Jackpot, of all things. I like Jackpot. I've never talked about Jackpot. I don't think so. It was one of the cheapest bots in the tournament to build. Very simple, very rudimentary. And this time around, it actually took a beating from Tombstone and knocked him out, which was kind of really shocking. Unfortunately, in the following round, Jackpot then got defeated, but it's okay. It still was a shock to take down the king of kinetic energy. And yeah, that was something. Glitch was on a roll. I talked about Glitch a lot. I liked the Glitch design. I loved the fact that it was undefeated in the preliminaries. Glitch was on a roll. Unfortunately, it was forced to drop out of the tournament and be replaced. It didn't get to actually compete in the main tournament and left the tournament, left the entire this season undefeated technically. And it's going to share that trait with the champion, which is interesting. But it was replaced by Mammoth. I talked about Mammoth before, but it's basically rolling scaffolding. And the whole idea is it grabs and lifts. And it's had a surprisingly large amount of success for what it is. Because it doesn't look like it would be effective at all. But it has won matches. Mammoth did not win this match, however. And was taken out by Witch Doctor. So Witch Doctor moves around on. Meanwhile, Minotaur beat the current champion Endgame in a shocking defeat. The Brazilian Bull of Minotaur defeated the returning champion from the previous season. And yeah, that was a bit of a shock. No one really saw that coming. But it happened, and guaranteed that we were going to have a new champion this time around. And so, but speaking of Witch Doctor and Minotaur, they wound up in a match together later on in the tournament, and the Brazilians seemed to think that they had that things should have gone the other way. They thought they had the win for a moment, and perhaps they did. Witch Doctor at one point got wedged into a wall, but Minotaur at the same time was also not moving. Rather than calling it there and trying to see what would happen, which Minotaur's crew believed would have gotten them the win, they dislodged. They stopped the match and dislodged Witch Doctor from the wall and made sure Minotaur could move, which he could only really do crab walking because one of his tires actually fell off. And it's not progressive movement, so they ruled Minotaur having lost, which ticked the Brazilians off more because they thought they had it. They believed they had it. But the wheel had actually come off then when Witch Doctor had. So they weren't happy about the decision that. And they argued the fact. They argued the fact with the referee so long it actually went to a judge's decision instead of a knockout. They were able to keep that count from happening. But the judges made the decision and Witch Doctor continued to move on. It's one of the first times I've ever actually seen that much of a controversy in robot sports, but it's bound to happen at one point. Daniel Freitas, Minotaur's driver, was pissed. Anyway. Hydra won a wild card seat that was open to see whether or not he would make it in the tournament, and he did. He won. He was the winner. Hydra made it in, and Hydra's a hydraulic flipper. Now I've talked about Blip a few times. I love Blip's design when it's a flywheel flipper, which allows them to be a lot more compact, and it seems to be just as effective. It's a really cool design. I do like it. Hydra and Blip went up against each other. And when they did, Hydra proved to be the better flipper for the sake of head-to-head. Because not only did Hydra have a longer fork to be able to get under Blip and flip it, Hydra also had a very old school tactic to deal with wedges and other flippers. Hydra was low to the ground, very, very short design, and had skirts on hinges. These skirts would keep things from gripping, instead it would just flip the skirt part up. And that proved to be bad for Blip, because Blip could not get a grip on Hydra, but Hydra could get a grip on Blip and then flip Blip. And that broke Blip's undefeated streak, and Hydra moved on in the tournament. Hydra was later defeated by a different design entirely, but he proved his point when it came to flippers. Ultimately, the whole tournament came down to Witch Doctor, who I had mentioned earlier, and Tantrum. I haven't talked about Tantrum much in this entire series, but he had gone through the preliminaries undefeated and continued this when he actually beat Witch Doctor by knockout. And so the winner and champion of the 2001/2002 BattleBlogs champion tournament is Tantrum, who is going to be my bot focus for this episode. I didn't talk much about him now, but since he's the champ, I can analyze and talk about how I think you can beat Tantrum. Now, Tantrum is a very defensive bot. He's short, he's squat, he's wrapped in just so much steel. It is hard to solid damage Tantrum, and that makes it very difficult for high destructive robots to do anything against him. He's built very well, and his weapon, though not very powerful, is precise. It's a small spitting drum, but it has a punching mechanism. It comes out, comes down to the end of the bot to strike, and then retracts in so it can be safe. This is a unique design that allows for not only precision strikes, but also defending the weapon so it doesn't get broken as easy. It's very innovative. It really helps. It's helped Tantrum actually succeed in ways that other bots wouldn't have. Going through the tournament, there's been a few times where he's gotten under a bot and then punched the drum out, striking at the bottom where they are less protected and hitting specific bits that, or it's wedged up against a tire, hit the tire. But this has really paid off for Tantrum. The only advice I have to how to beat Tantrum is do not count on damage. You probably won't be able to significantly damage Tantrum or its weapon. If you are something exceptional, that might be different. You might actually be able to take Tantrum out that way. I have seen it happen. But more likely than not, you're going to have to try to win, make it all the way, make sure your defense is balanced enough so that you can make it all the way to a judge's decision and win by control and aggression. The other two categories. Damage may give you the most points, but if you win the other two, you may just win the judge's decision when it comes to the overall score. And that's probably the best bet against Tantrum. I do not think you can win through counting on damage. So that's it. That was the BattleBlogs season. That was my look at Tantrum. That was the series so far. When the new tournament comes around, I'll pick this back up. But until then, my friends, it's one heck of a ride. And the lights are on, the box is locked. It's robot fighting time.